You think you're a man because you go to the gym, because you post quotes on Instagram? Let me tell you something. You're not a man until you've suffered alone, until life's punched you in the mouth and you had no one to cry to. That's when the real test begins. Most men live soft lives, handheld, coddled, and afraid of pain. But suffering alone, that's the fire where real men are forged. No backup, no comfort, just you, your demons, and the decision to rise or rot. This video will gut check you. If you're ready to become the man you were meant to be, let's go. Pain is the forge of kings. Every successful man you admire, every giant who seems untouchable today, he was once on his knees in silence, not just struggling, but suffering in a way most men will never understand because they quit too early. He's cried in empty rooms. He's yelled at the ceiling with no one listening. No applause, no handouts, just him and the cold, cruel truth of reality staring back. That is where the transformation begins. See, growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. It doesn't show up in your highlight reels or your filtered Instagram stories. Real growth, lasting growth, lives in the shadows. It happens when you're broken, and bleeding, and still you show up. It's built in the nights you can't sleep because failure is suffocating your thoughts, and instead of running away, you stare it down. That's the furnace. That's where iron men are made. The world lies to you. It tells you pain is something to avoid. They sell comfort as a goal, but kings aren't born in comfort. They're carved in fire. You think it's a coincidence the greats suffered first? Hell no. That was a requirement. That was the price. There is no shortcut. You don't become a savage by being coddled. You become one by walking through hell barefoot and choosing to keep going. Pain strips you down to your essence. It removes your masks, your excuses, your ego. It humbles you. It burns away the fake identity you've been wearing to impress people who don't even matter. And in that vulnerable, raw state, you meet your real self. Most men run from that meeting, but not kings. Kings face the man in the mirror and say, let's go. We're not dying here. And you know what? Pain is honest. It doesn't lie. It doesn't sugarcoat. It tells you exactly who you are. If you're weak, it exposes it. If you're lazy, it shows it. But it also offers a deal. Endure this fire and you'll come out stronger, sharper, unstoppable. Every scar becomes armor. Every tear becomes fuel. You learn how to stand tall when the world wants you on your knees. So don't wish for the pain to go away. Don't beg for an easier life. That's not what men do. Embrace it, chase it, let it mold you. Because when you've been through enough hell, you stop fearing life. You stop tiptoeing. You walk like a king. Not because you were handed power, but because you earned it in the fire. You survived what would have broken the average man, and that right there is the difference. Suffering is not the enemy, it's the gatekeeper, and until you pass through it, you'll never know what you're truly made of. So bleed in silence, cry if you must, but don't you ever quit. Because pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. And if you can take it, you can rule. Let me say it again, and this time let it sink all the way in. No one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your girlfriend, not your best friend, not God in the way you think he will. You're not a kid anymore. Nobody's handing out lifeboats. This isn't a fairy tale. It's war. And the faster you understand that, the faster you start becoming dangerous. You've got this fantasy that someone's going to knock on your door with the answers, lift you up, wipe your tears, and carry you to greatness. Keep dreaming. That's how boys stay boys, forever waiting for a handout, for validation, for someone to tell them it's okay. It's not okay. You're behind. You're losing time. And every second you spend waiting is a second the world is chewing up the weak and feeding off their bones. You think your friends care about your dreams? Most of them don't even believe in their own. They'll nod, they'll smile, but they'll never push you. Because if you grow, you threaten them. Misery loves company, and mediocrity surrounds itself with cheerleaders who never win. So when you're drowning, you better learn to swim. because they're not diving in after you. There's a switch that flips when you suffer alone, when the room's silent, when your phone stops ringing, when no one asks how you're doing, and you finally realize that this life is your job. That pain you're feeling, that isolation, it's the crucible where you forge something terrifying. Self-reliance, not cocky, not arrogant, but a quiet, lethal confidence that says, I've been through hell and I didn't need anybody to pull me out. You become your own savior. You stop waiting for the motivation and you start moving through discipline. You stop crying about what you didn't have and start building what you need. You stop blaming others and start taking extreme ownership, because when no one's coming, every move you make is yours. Every failure, yours. Every victory, also yours. That's freedom. That's power. And once you step into that mindset, once you realize that you are the damn cavalry, you become unstoppable. Because a man who doesn't need to be saved is a man who can lead. He can build empires, not excuses. He can stand in storms and not flinch, because he's already survived the darkest part himself. So if you're in that place right now, cold, broke, alone, broken, good. That's the training ground. That's where warriors are born. Don't run from it. Don't numb it. Embrace it. Own it. Because once you stop expecting someone else to change your life, you finally start doing it yourself. And trust me, that's the only kind of transformation that actually lasts. In those quiet, isolated moments when the world seems to turn its back on you, you're faced with a decision. The weight of your problems feels unbearable. Your heart is screaming for relief, your mind racing with doubt, and every ounce of your being wants to break down. It's in these moments that the true measure of a man is made. Not by how loud he shouts, not by how many people notice his pain, but by what he does in the silence. Do you let your emotions control you, or do you take the hard road and rise above? Here's the brutal truth. Boys let their emotions dictate their actions. Boys cry, they complain, they give up when things get tough. They're ruled by their feelings and let those feelings derail them. Men, on the other hand, recognize the strength in pushing through when everything inside of them is screaming to quit. They understand that pain is part of the process. It's a tool, not a hindrance. They don't let their emotions drive their actions. Their discipline does. It's easy to talk about discipline when life is smooth. When everything is working out and the sun is shining on you, it's easy to say, I'm disciplined. I've got this. But when the nights are long and the pain feels like it might swallow you whole, that's when the real test comes. Can you execute the plan even when you feel like you're breaking down? Can you keep your eyes on the prize when every part of you wants to surrender? Men are forged in these moments. It's not in the times of success, but in the middle of the struggle where they define who they really are. It's when they keep pushing forward, when everything around them screams to stop. The key is understanding that the pain, the frustration, the moments of vulnerability, they're all temporary. They don't define you. But what will define you is the decision you make when you're at your lowest. Will you let emotion control you, or will you choose execution? Discipline is the weapon that cuts through the noise. It's what gets you out of bed when the world tells you to stay down. It's what keeps you going when everyone else is quitting. Discipline is the thing that separates the men from the boys, the ones who talk a good game and the ones who back it up. Because in the end, pain fades, time moves on, but your ability to discipline yourself, to make the right choices, to keep fighting when you'd rather crumble, that stays forever. So what's it gonna be? Will you allow your emotions to dictate your success? Will you allow your tears to control your future? Or will you rise up, take control, and execute on the plan you set out for yourself? Because real men understand that life doesn't care about your excuses. Life doesn't care about your struggles. But it does respect the ones who keep fighting, even when they're at their lowest. It's those men who build legacies, not the ones who break down when things get tough. Pain is temporary, discipline is forever. And if you want to be more than just a boy, if you want to be a real man, you'll choose discipline every single time. You see, most people never really know themselves. They're surrounded by distractions, by people who tell them what to do, how to feel, and how to think. The world is a constant barrage of noise, opinions, and influences that make it difficult to hear your own thoughts, let alone understand who you truly are. But when you're isolated, when you're alone with your thoughts and your fears, there's nowhere to hide, no one to lean on, no distractions to shield you from your own reality. It's in that isolation that the truth comes out. The man who truly knows himself isn't the one who talks about his greatness all the time. He doesn't need the applause or the constant validation from others. He's found a different kind of strength, a strength that's built in solitude, in the silence between his own thoughts. When the world is quiet and you're left to face yourself, that's when you decide who you are, not by the titles people give you, not by the followers or likes on your social media posts, but by the choices you make in that solitude. Will you wallow in your pain, in your misery, and play the victim? Will you blame the world for everything that's gone wrong in your life? Or will you dig deep, face your demons, and decide that no matter what happens, you're going to keep going? And when you're isolated, there's no one around to tell you that you're doing a great job. You're forced to face the raw, unfiltered reality of who you are. It's a terrifying thing to realize, but it's also liberating, because the moment you stop lying to yourself, you begin to grow. You learn what you're truly made of. The harshest truths are often the most revealing, and isolation is the only place you'll find them. It's easy to hide behind other people, behind distractions, but when you're alone, you can't escape from your own mind. You confront your weaknesses, your mistakes, and the parts of yourself you'd rather not acknowledge. That's where the real transformation happens. That's when you get to decide who you're going to become. It's a decision you make in the depths of your isolation. Will you let the pain defeat you, or will you use it to fuel your growth? The world doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care that you were hurt, that life hasn't been fair. It will chew you up and spit you out unless you decide that you're stronger than your circumstances. That's what separates the men from the boys. The ability to stand tall in your darkest moments and say, I'm not done. I'm not broken. I'm just getting started. Isolation doesn't make you weak. It reveals your strength. It's a pressure cooker that forces you to confront your deepest fears and challenges you to rise above them. It's where you find out what you're truly capable of. And it's where you realize that you don't need anyone else's approval to be great. The only person whose opinion matters is your own. When you face yourself in the quiet moments, you find out who you really are. And if you're honest with yourself, you'll see the potential for greatness, not in the applause of others, but in the quiet strength you cultivate in those moments of solitude. So ask yourself, when the world goes quiet, who are you really? Are you the person you've been pretending to be, or are you the person you were meant to become? Only in isolation will you find the answer. Nobody cares about your story, only your results. That's the brutal truth. You can whine all day long about the hardships you've faced, the unfair circumstances, or the people who've wronged you, but guess what? The world doesn't give a damn. It doesn't care about your background, your struggles, or your excuses. The only thing that matters is whether or not you can deliver, whether you can show up when it counts, get the job done, and make an impact that lasts. Excuses are a luxury for the weak. They're for people who aren't ready to face reality. Everyone has a story. Everyone has their pain, their battles, but the difference between those who succeed and those who falter isn't the pain itself, it's how they handle it. It's how they rise when the world tries to crush them. It's how they keep going when every bone in their body is telling them to quit. You see, the world isn't interested in your sob story. No one cares that you were born into a bad situation or that you faced unfair odds. All the world wants to know is this: can you deliver results? Can you fight through the pain and make something of yourself despite all the obstacles? When you've suffered, when you've bled, when you've kept moving, even when everything inside you screamed for rest, you gain a different kind of power. You gain the kind of power that doesn't need to be announced with words. You don't need to explain yourself, and you don't need validation from anyone. Your results speak louder than any excuse you could make. Your actions say everything that words never will. This is where men are separated from boys. Men don't need a stage to prove themselves. They don't need to shout from the rooftops about how hard they've worked. Their presence alone commands respect. When you walk into a room, the way you carry yourself, the confidence you exude, the results you've achieved, that's what people notice. They feel the energy you bring because you've paid the price. You've sacrificed, you've been through the fire, and you've come out stronger. That's what gets respect. That's what makes people take notice. It's easy to get caught up in the noise, to think that people will be impressed by your words, your background, or the struggles you've been through. But here's the cold, hard truth. No one cares. They care about what you can do now. What results are you producing right now? What are you delivering today that proves you are the real deal? That's what matters. People will respect you, not because of what you've been through, but because of what you've achieved despite it. The world respects strength. It respects those who show up day in and day out, who keep grinding when others would quit, who take responsibility for their own lives and refuse to make excuses. Real men don't make excuses. Real men deliver. No matter the circumstances, no matter the odds, no matter the pain, they get the job done. And in a world full of talkers, the men who actually produce results are the ones who stand out. So stop talking about your struggles, stop making excuses, start delivering results. That's the only thing that will earn you the respect you're looking for, because at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words, and results speak the loudest of all. So, I'll ask you again, are you a man or just pretending? Let's cut the BS. Society has this twisted idea of what makes a man. The fancy cars, the flashy watches, the Instagram posts where you flex your abs or pose with your latest accomplishments. But that's all smoke and mirrors. What happens when the lights go out? What happens when no one's looking? That's when you find out if you've got what it takes to truly stand as a man. And let me tell you something, until you've suffered alone, until you've been tested by fire and found your own strength in the silence of those nights where you had no one to lean on, you're just playing dress up. Real men don't run from hardship. They don't look for the next easy way out. They understand that the struggle isn't a choice, it's a requirement. You think success is handed to you? You think you just wake up one day and everything falls into place? That's a fantasy. The reality is, you will be tested in ways you can't even imagine. And it won't be pretty. It will break you. It will take you to the edge of who you think you are, and you'll wonder if you're going to survive. But that's the point. The test isn't about avoiding pain or running from it. It's about how you respond when the world hits you with everything it has. The truth is, the world doesn't give a damn about your excuses. It doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care that you had a rough childhood or that you've been knocked down a few times. The world only respects results. And results come from one thing: resilience. And resilience isn't something you learn by reading books or listening to motivational speeches. It's something you learn in the trenches. When you're down and out, when the odds are stacked against you, and when everyone else tells you to quit. That's when you either fold or you fight. The moment you suffer alone, you begin to realize that the only person you can truly rely on is yourself. No one's coming to save you. Your friends, your family, they can't walk this path for you. You're the one who has to make the choice to get back up after every blow, to keep going when the road ahead seems impossible. You'll face moments when you want to give up, moments when you think you're not strong enough, but it's in those moments that you decide whether you're a man or not. When you've been through that fire, when you've been burned and scarred, you begin to understand that those scars are a badge of honor. They're the proof that you've stood up to the darkness and survived. And when you look at yourself in the mirror after the storm, you won't see the same person who walked into it. You'll see a man who has been forged by pain and hardship. A man who has become stronger because of the struggles, and that's the difference. That's the moment you stop pretending. If you've been in that fire and you're still standing, then welcome to the brotherhood. You've earned your place. You've proven that you're not here to take the easy road. You're here to rise above, to become more than you were, and to build something that lasts. So stop pretending. Stop wearing that mask. The world doesn't need another boy pretending to be a man. The world needs warriors who've been through hell and are still ready to fight. You've got two choices. Stay weak, stay in the comfort zone, and keep pretending, or you can suffer, build yourself up, and come out the other side stronger than ever. It's your choice. But remember, real men don't play dress up. They put in the work, they endure the pain, and they emerge as the men they were meant to be. The fire either burns you or it forges you. Which will it be for you?